The transport ship docked at Station Helix 7 with a soft hum. Sergeant Park stood near the exit door, her small bag over her shoulder. She was not tall. By human standards, she was average. By galactic standards, she was tiny. But she stood straight, her dark eyes calm, her long black hair tied in a neat braid that hung down her back. The door opened. Cold, recycled air hit her face. She stepped out into the Galactic Military Academy. The station was massive. The ceiling stretched so high that clouds formed near the top. Thousands of beings walked through the main hall, saw creatures of all shapes. Some had scales, some had feathers, some floated, some crawled. All of them wore the uniform of the academy. Many of them stopped to look at her. Was used to this. Humans were rare in this part of the galaxy. Earth had only joined the Galactic Council 5 years ago. Most aliens had never seen a human in person. They had only heard stories. Stories about. Earth was classified as 7. This meant it was one of the most dangerous planets that produced intelligent life. The gravity was crushing. The weather was violent. The wildlife was endless and hungry. Diseases filled the air and water. And yet, somehow, humans survived. They did more than survive. They thrived. This made other species nervous. A tall officer approached. He had 4 arms, compound eyes, and a clicking voice that her translator turned into words. "Sergeant Park, I am Commander. Welcome to the Academy." Bowed politely. "Thank you, Commander. I am honored to be here." Commander studied her for a moment. His many eyes moved over her small frame, her soft skin, her strange hair. She could tell he was trying to understand what made humans so dangerous. He could not see it. Most aliens could not. "You will teach close combat techniques," said. "Human methods. The Council believes other species can learn from your survival instincts." "I will do my best, Commander." Led her through the station. They passed training rooms, classrooms, and barracks. Cadets of all species watched them go, heard whispers. Her translator caught some of them. "That is a human. So small, so fragile looking. I heard they eat other animals, cooked in fire. I heard they can run for days without stopping. I heard they heal from wounds that would kill us." Kept walking. She did not react. She had heard all of this before. They reached the combat training center. It was a huge room with soft floors and high walls. Several groups of cadets were practicing. They stopped when entered. One group caught her attention. They were reptilian, 8 feet tall, covered in green and brown scales. They had long tails, sharp claws, and small spurs on their forearms that glistened with moisture. Venom realized. These were soldiers. The largest one stepped forward. He was impressive. His scales were darker than the others, marked with old scars. His eyes were yellow with black slits. He looked at the way a predator looks at something too small to eat. "This is the human?" he asked. His voice was deep, almost a growl. Sergeant Park said, "She will be teaching combat techniques starting next week. You will show her respect." Remembered the name from her briefing. A decorated soldier, champion of his unit. His species had conquered 3 star systems through military power alone. He had never lost a sanctioned fight. Walked closer. He towered over. His shadow covered her completely. "Respect," he repeated. He looked down at her with clear disgust. "Commander, is this a joke? This creature will teach us combat. The Council has decided." "The Council is playing politics." Turned to his fellow soldiers. They laughed. "Look at her, soft skin, no claws, no venom, no armor. Her bones are probably hollow like a bird." "They are not," said quietly. Looked back at her. "What?" "My bones, they are not hollow, they are quite solid, actually." She smiled politely. "I have broken several of them over the years. They always heal stronger." Something flickered in his eyes. Confusion, perhaps, or annoyance. He leaned closer. His hot breath washed over her face. It smelled like copper and meat. "What is that?" He pointed at her braid. That strange growth on your head. Hair said, humans grow it naturally. It looks like a handle. Soldiers laughed again. A convenient way to control you in a fight. Smile did not change, but something in her eyes shifted, just for a moment, just enough for Commander to notice. I would not recommend that, she said softly. Snorted, a threat from you. He straightened up and turned away. I look forward to your demonstration, little human. It should be amusing. He walked back to his soldiers. They continued their training, ignoring completely. Commander stood beside her in silence for a moment. He is proud, finally said, but he is also the best fighter in his class, perhaps in the entire academy. I understand, said. Do you? Compound eyes studied her. He will challenge you, he will try to embarrass you, and through you he will try to embarrass humanity. Watch practice. He was fast, powerful. His movements were efficient and deadly. His venom spurs could kill most species in minutes. She reached up and touched her braid. Let him try, she said. The combat assessment schedule was posted that evening. In 3 days, Sergeant Park would demonstrate human close-quarters combat techniques to the entire cadet corps. Volunteers for sparring would be accepted. His name was the first on the list. The mess hall was loud. Hundreds of beings sat at long tables, eating food from dozens of different worlds. The smell was strange. Sweet, sour, metallic, rotten. Had gotten used to it in her first 2 days. She sat alone at a small table near the wall. Her tray held simple food, rice, vegetables, and cooked meat. Other species watched her eat with fascination and horror. Cooking food was strange to most of them. Eating dead animals was even stranger. Did not mind. She chewed slowly and watched the room. At the center table held court. His soldiers surrounded him. Other cadets gathered nearby, listening to him speak. His translator carried his words across the hall. The human female thinks she can teach us combat, said loudly. Us, the conquerors of 3 systems. Laughter rippled through the crowd. I have seen humans before, continued. In recordings, they bleed red. Their skin tears like paper. Their bones snap like dry branches. One strike from my tail would cut her in half. More laughter, some nervous, some genuine. And that growth on her head made a grabbing motion. That hair, it is connected to her skull, yes. One good pull and she would be completely helpless, like a leashed pet. A young next to him spoke up. This was Lieutenant. He was smaller, thinner, and his eyes held more caution than pride. The reports say humans have unusual endurance, said quietly. Unusual pain tolerance. Perhaps we should not. Reports, waved his clawed hand dismissively. Written by scientists who have never fought. I have killed 17 enemies in combat. Real combat, not simulations. I know what breaks and what bleeds. Fell silent. A shadow fell over his table. She looked up. A young woman stood there. Korean features, short hair, engineer's patches on her uniform. She held a food tray and looked nervous. May I sit? She asked in Korean. Smiled, of course. The woman sat down. I am Cadet, Engineering Division. I transferred here 6 months ago. Park combat instructor, obviously new. Glanced at its table, then back at. You have heard what he says about you. I have. It is getting worse. Every day he talks more. He tells everyone that humans are weak, that we do not belong here, that our admission to the academy was just politics. Pushed her food around her tray. Other species are starting to believe him. Took another bite of her meal. Let them. Let them, leaned forward. Sergeant, he is going to challenge you in the demonstration. He wants to hurt you in front of everyone. He wants to prove that are just a myth. I know. And you are not worried. Set down her chopsticks. She looked at with calm, steady eyes. On Earth, I trained for 12 years. I have fought in wars. I have killed enemies with my bare hands. I have been shot, stabbed, burned, and poisoned. I am still here. Stared at her, but he is so much bigger, and his venom. His venom takes 30 seconds to affect most species. I have read the reports too, picked up her chopsticks again. I have also read that his species has slow recovery time after rapid movements. They are ambush predators. They strike fast and hard, then wait for the kill. They are not built for long fights. And humans are. Smiled, it was not a warm smile. Humans are built to chase prey until it collapses from exhaustion. We can run for days. We can fight through pain that would kill other species. We do not stop, ever. Across the hall stood up. He was still talking loudly. In 3 days I will show everyone the truth about humans. I will break her quickly, cleanly, and then perhaps the council will stop this foolishness and send them back to their rock. His soldiers cheered. Finished her meal and stood up, grabbed her arm. Please be careful, the young engineer said. If you lose badly, it will affect all humans here. We will never be respected. Looked down its hand on her arm. Then she looked at the younger woman's worried face. I will not lose, said simply. That night went to the training center. It was empty. She had requested private time. She stood in the middle of the soft floor and began to move. Her movements were slow at first, controlled. Ancient forms passed down through generations. Korean martial arts mixed with military combat training mixed with pure survival instinct. She practiced strikes. She practiced joint locks. She practiced throws. She practiced fighting against larger opponents, against faster opponents, against opponents with weapons. She practiced fighting dirty. In her mind she saw 8 feet tall, 300 pounds of muscle and scale, venom spurs, sharp claws, a tail like a whip. In her mind she saw his weaknesses, the soft spots between his scales, the nerve clusters in his joints, the vulnerable throat, the sensitive eyes. In her mind she saw him grabbing her hair. Stopped moving. She stood still in the empty room. Her hand reached up and touched her braid. On Earth in ancient times, warriors would grow their hair long. Some said it was for beauty. Some said it was spiritual. But there was another reason. Long hair in combat was a test. It invited the enemy to grab it. And when the enemy grabbed it, they committed themselves. They thought they had won. They relaxed. That was when the warrior struck. Tightened her braid. She smiled in the darkness. Grab my hair, she whispered. Please, I am counting on it. The next morning, the official announcement came. Had been approved as her sparring partner for the demonstration. Commander had tried to refuse, but the rules were clear. Any cadet could volunteer. Had volunteered first. The whole academy was talking about it. The champion against the human. Most bets were against her. Did not care about bets. She cared about one thing only. Teaching a lesson that would never be forgotten. The central combat arena could hold 5,000 beings. Today, it was full. Cadets from every species filled the seats. They sat in sections based on their atmospheric needs. Some breathed oxygen. Some breathed methane. Some did not breathe at all, but all of them had come to see the same thing. The human versus the commander stood in the center of the arena. The floor beneath him was soft, designed to absorb impact. Medical teams waited at the edges, ready to respond. This was supposed to be a demonstration, but everyone knew it was really a fight. Today, Sergeant Park will demonstrate human close-quarters combat techniques, announced. His voice carried through every translator in the building. Cadet has volunteered as her sparring partner. The section erupted in cheers. Soldiers stomped their feet and slapped their tails against the ground. The sound was like thunder. The human section was much smaller. Only a few dozen humans lived on the station. Sat among them, her hands clasped tight, her face pale with worry. A door opened on one side of the arena. Walked out. She wore simple training clothes. Black pants, black shirt, soft shoes. Her long black hair was tied in its usual braid. She carried no weapons. She looked small. She looked fragile. She looked like prey. The arena fell quiet. Another door opened, emerged. He was massive. His scales had been polished until they gleamed under the lights. His muscles moved like snakes under his skin. His venom spurs dripped with clear liquid. He walked slowly, confidently, like a king entering his throne room. The section roared again. Stopped in the center of the arena, looking down at. She barely reached his chest. He could have wrapped both hands around her entire body. "Little human," he said, "are you ready to learn your place?" Looked up at him, her face was calm, her breathing was steady. "I am ready to teach." Laughed, the sound echoed through the arena. Commander stepped between them. "The rules are simple: submission, incapacitation, or ring out. Non-lethal force only. Venom use is prohibited, but accidental contact will not disqualify. Medical teams will intervene if necessary." He looked at both fighters. "Do you understand?" "Yes," said. "I understand," growled, "but she will not last long enough to submit." Moved back, he raised one of his forearms. "Begin." Moved first. He was fast, faster than his size suggested. His arm shot forward like a striking snake, claws extended. He aimed for shoulder. A simple hit, enough to knock her down and end this quickly. Was not there. She slipped to the side just a few inches, just enough. Claws cut through empty air. He recovered instantly, spinning, his tail sweeping low to catch her legs. She jumped over it. The crowd gasped. Attacked again, and again, and again. His strikes were powerful enough to crack stone. His speed was blinding. Any other opponent would have been destroyed in seconds. Dodged, blocked, redirected. She did not fight back. She just moved, always moving, never stopping, never tiring. The first minute passed. Was breathing harder now. His species was not built for extended combat. They were ambush predators. Strike fast, kill quickly, rest. This continuous movement was draining him. Had barely started to sweat. "Stand still," roared. He lunged forward, both arms swinging. Ducked under his arms. Her fist shot up and struck the soft tissue under his arm. Grunted in pain. She hit him again. Same spot. Then she was gone, dancing away before he could grab her. First blood was hers. The human section began to cheer. His yellow eyes burned with rage. He had never been hit in a sanctioned bout. Never. This tiny creature had struck him twice. "You are quick," he admitted, "but you cannot hurt me. You cannot win by running." Said nothing. She watched him, waited. Charged. This time he was smarter. He used his tail to cut off her escape, forcing her toward the arena wall. His arms spread wide to catch her no matter which way she moved. Ran straight at him. She dropped to her knees at the last second, sliding under his grasping arms. Her elbow drove into his knee joint as she passed. Stumbled. She rolled to her feet behind him and kicked the back of his other leg. Fell to one knee. The arena went silent. The mighty warrior was kneeling. The tiny human stood behind him, not even breathing hard. Roared, he spun, his tail whipping around with enough force to break bones. Jumped back, but not far enough. The tail caught her side, sending her flying across the arena. She hit the ground hard. Blood appeared on her shirt where the scales had cut her. The section cheered. Stood up. She was hurt, everyone could see it. Her side was bleeding, her ribs might be cracked. A normal person would stay down. Smiled. "Good hit," she said. Stared at her. He could not understand. He had hurt her. Why was she smiling? Why was she still standing? He attacked again. This time his strikes landed. He hit her shoulder, her leg, her back. Each blow was powerful enough to cripple most species. Kept fighting. She bled, she bruised. She took hits that would have killed her, and she kept fighting, kept moving, kept hitting back. The third minute passed. Was exhausted. His breath came in ragged gasps. His venom spurs had stopped dripping. His movements were slower, sloppier. Was still standing, still fighting, still smiling that terrible smile. Frustration and rage clouded his mind. He needed to end this. Now, by any means necessary. He saw her braid swinging behind her as she moved. A handle. A leash. Without thinking, he lunged forward. His clawed hand closed around her braid. He yanked her head back, exposing her throat. In combat, this was the killing position. Once you had your enemy's throat exposed, the fight was over. Submit, growled. The arena fell completely silent. Stopped moving. Her head was pulled back at a painful angle. Claws were inches from her throat. She looked defeated, helpless. Then she turned her head, just enough to look in the eyes. And what he saw in those eyes made his blood turn cold. Something ancient looked back at him. Something that had survived ice ages and famines and wars and plagues. Something that had climbed to the top of the food chain on a world designed to kill everything. Was not scared. She was waiting. On my world, she said softly, grabbing a woman's hair in a fight means one thing. Grip tightened. What? Smiled. It was not a human smile. It was the smile of a predator who had finally cornered its prey. It means you want to die. Had made a mistake. He did not know it yet. He thought he had won. He thought the fight was over. His claws were around her hair, her throat was exposed, and she was helpless. He was wrong. On Earth, hair pulling is not a restraint. It is a trigger. Deep in human DNA, buried under millions of years of evolution, there is a response to having your hair grabbed in combat. It is not fear. It is not submission. It is rage. Pure, cold, calculated rage. Moved. She did not pull away from his grip. That was what he expected. That was what any prey animal would do. Instead, she stepped into him, using his hold on her hair as an anchor point. Her body rotated like a coiled spring releasing. Her elbow drove into his throat. The sound was wet, horrible. Eyes went wide. His grip on her hair loosened for just a moment, just long enough. Grabbed his wrist, the same hand that held her braid. She twisted, turned, applied pressure to the joint in exactly the right way. His arm broke. The snap echoed through the silent arena, screamed. The sound was not a roar of anger. It was a scream of pain, pure and animal and terrified. He tried to pull back. His other arm swung toward her, venom spurs extended. A killing strike. Ducked under it, she caught his arm. Her small hands found the nerve cluster at his elbow. She pressed, hard. His arm went limp, dead, useless. He had two arms. She had disabled both in less than 3 seconds. Stumbled backward. His tail whipped around, desperate now, jumped over it easily. She had seen this move before. She had been waiting for it. She landed on his tail. Her foot pressed down on a specific point. His legs buckled. Something in his spine had been pinched. He fell forward, barely catching himself. Yield, said. Her voice was calm, quiet. Yield and this ends. His answer was a roar. He threw himself at her, jaws open, trying to bite. It was not a trained move. It was animal instinct. The response of a predator that suddenly found itself as prey. Stepped to the side. Her knee came up. It hit his face with enough force to crack one of his orbital bones. His head snapped back. Blood flew from his mouth. Teeth scattered across the arena floor. He did not go down. Warriors were tough. Their species had evolved to survive terrible damage. Was the best of them. He would not surrender. He could not surrender. His pride would not allow it. Understood this. She also understood that she needed to break more than his body. She needed to break that pride. She began her work. Her strikes were precise, surgical. She targeted joints, nerve clusters, sensory organs. Each hit did specific damage. Each hit served a purpose. This was not anger. This was not revenge. This was a lesson. Tried to fight back. His tail swept, his jaws snapped, his legs kicked, but he was slow now, injured, exhausted. Every movement hurt, every breath was agony. Was not exhausted. The wounds on her side still bled, but she did not care. Pain was just information. Pain could be ignored. Pain could be used. Humans had learned this long ago. She hit his knee. He dropped. She hit his remaining good arm. It went limp. She hit his throat again. His breathing became labored, ragged. She hit the base of his skull. His vision blurred. The medical team started to move forward. Commander raised his arm to stop the fight. Held up her hand, "Not yet." Her voice carried across the arena. Everyone heard it. Everyone froze. She walked around. He was on his knees now, both arms broken, tail disabled, face bloody, breathing in wet, painful gasps. The greatest warrior of the Dominion, reduced to a kneeling wreck, stood in front of him. She reached down and lifted his chin, made him look at her. "You grabbed my hair," she said softly. Tried to speak. His translator sparked and crackled. He had been hit too many times. The words came out broken. "I yield." "I know," said, "but I want you to understand something first." She leaned closer, close enough that only he could hear her next words. "I could have killed you at any moment. From the very first second. Every hit I took, I chose to take. Every moment this fight continued, I allowed it to continue." His yellow eyes widened. "You never had a chance. You were never winning. You were just learning." She released his chin. He slumped forward, barely conscious. Straightened up, she turned to face the arena. Thousands of beings stared at her in absolute silence. Fear, awe, horror. She saw all of these emotions in their alien faces. Blood dripped from her wounds. Her braid had come partially loose, black hair falling around her face. She looked damaged, hurt, human. And somehow, that made her more terrifying. "On my world," she said, her voice clear and strong, "we have a saying." The translators hummed, carrying her words to every ear in the arena. "You can pull my hair when we are friends, when we are playing, when we are lovers." She paused. "But in a fight, when you grab my hair in a fight." She looked at its broken form. "You have told me you want to die." The medical teams rushed in. They surrounded, scanning his injuries, preparing to move him. He would survive. He would need months of regeneration. His scales would grow back, his bones would heal, his nerves would repair. But he would never forget this moment. None of them would. Walked toward the exit. The crowd parted before her. Beings pressed themselves against walls, climbed over each other to get out of her way. They looked at her with new eyes. This was what survived on Earth. This was humanity. Was waiting at the exit. Her face was pale, her hands shaking. She had watched the whole fight. She had seen what her sergeant could do. Could not find words. Touched her bleeding side. She winced. The adrenaline was fatting. The pain was becoming real. "That was a lesson," she said quietly. "I hope they learned it." She walked past, toward the medical center. Behind her, the arena remained silent for a long, long time. 1 week later, the galaxy was still talking about it. The footage had spread across every military network in known space. It had been watched billions of times. Commanders, generals, and war leaders from 100 different species had studied it frame by frame. The human demonstration, they called it. Commander sat in his office reviewing reports. His compound eyes moved across multiple screens at once. Casualty analysis, combat assessment, political response. All of it pointed to the same conclusion. Everything had changed. A chime sounded. The door opened, walked in. Her wounds had healed. Humans recovered quickly, terrifyingly quickly. Damage that would take a month to repair had closed in days. She moved without pain, without stiffness, as if the fight had never happened. "You wanted to see me, Commander." Gestured to a chair. "Sit, please." Sat, her back was straight, her hands folded in her lap. She looked like a polite young woman, nothing like the creature that had systematically destroyed the Academy's best fighter. "The review board has cleared you," said. "Grabbed your hair. Under Academy regulations, that is classified as attempted lethal restraint. Your response was justified." "Thank you, Commander." "Thank you," made a sound that his translator converted to a laugh. "Sergeant, I am not thanking you. I am telling you that you have created a political crisis." Said nothing. "The Dominion is furious. They claim you humiliated their champion deliberately. They want compensation. They want you removed from the Academy." "And what does the Council say?" Leaned back, his many eyes blinked in sequence. "The Council says nothing. They are too busy requesting copies of your training manuals." Silence filled the office. "I have submitted a formal request to Galactic Command," continued. "I want more instructors, more human combat techniques taught to our cadets. Your demonstration was educational." Allowed herself a small smile. "I am glad it was useful." "Useful?" shook his head. "Sergeant, I have served in this military for 40 cycles. I have seen wars. I have seen death. I have never seen anything like what you did in that arena." He stood and walked to his window. Outside, stars filled the void. Ships moved between them like fish in a dark ocean. "You could have ended that fight in seconds," he said. "Why did you not?" Considered her answer carefully. "Because a quick victory would have proven nothing, would have said I got lucky. Others would have believed him. The lesson would have been lost." "So you let him hurt you?" "I let him think he was hurting me." Turned back to face her. "Is there a difference?" "To a human. No, pain is information. Pain can be used." Stood. "Commander, I did not come here to make enemies. I came here to teach. And sometimes the best lessons are the ones that leave scars." She bowed politely and left his office. In the medical center, lay in a regeneration pod. His scales were patchy, still growing back. His arms were locked in healing braces. His face was wrapped in bandages. He was awake. Sat beside him, waiting. The younger had been there every day since the fight. "The footage is everywhere," said quietly. "Our entire species has seen it." Said nothing. "Your father has sent messages. Your unit commanders. They want to know what happened. They want to know how a creature half your size could." "I know what they want." His voice was hoarse, damaged. "They want to know how I failed." "Did you fail?" Turned his head. His yellow eyes met. "She could have killed me at any moment from the very beginning. I thought I was winning. I thought I was hurting her, but she was just waiting." "Waiting for what?" "For me to make a mistake." Looked at the ceiling. "Grabbing her hair. I thought it was a weakness. I thought I could control her." Was quiet for a moment. What was it instead? "A trap." Closed his eyes. "Her entire species is a trap. They look weak, soft, harmless. And then you grab their hair and suddenly you are fighting something that should not exist, something that refuses to die, something that has been killing since before our species climbed out of the swamps." He laughed. It hurt. He laughed anyway. He said, "Now I understand." On the observation deck stood alone. The stars stretched out before her, infinite, cold, beautiful. She had grown up looking at different stars, but the feeling was the same, small, humble, part of something much larger. Footsteps approached, appeared beside her. "The next combat class is tomorrow," the young engineer said. "Everyone is talking about it. Nobody knows what you will teach." Smiled. "I will teach them what I always teach, how to survive." After what happened, I think they already understand. "No," shook her head. "They understand that humans are dangerous. That is not the same as understanding why." Frowned. "Why are humans dangerous?" Was silent for a long moment. She watched the stars, thought about Earth, thought about all the millions of years of evolution that had made her what she was. "Because we never stop," she finally said. "Other species fight until they are hurt. They fight until they are tired. They fight until they decide the cost is too high. Humans do not work that way. How do humans work? We fight until we win or we die. There is no middle ground, no retreat, no surrender, turn to face. That is what makes us dangerous, not our strength, not our speed, not our weapons. It is that we simply refuse to stop. The next morning, entered the combat training center. It was full, every cadet who could attend was there. They stood in perfect rows, waiting, silent, respectful. Walked to the center of the room. She looked at the sea of alien faces. Scales, feathers, chitin flesh, all of them watching her, all of them afraid. I know what you saw last week, she said. I know what you think of me now, of humans, of. Nobody moved. You think we are monsters, killers, creatures to be feared. She paused. You are not entirely wrong. A ripple went through the crowd. But you are missing something important. Humans are not dangerous because we like to fight. We are dangerous because we had no choice. Our world tried to kill us every single day, and every single day we refused to die. She held up her hand, small, soft, no claws, no venom, no armor. These hands have built cities, healed the sick, created art and music and love. The same hands that can kill can also create. That is what it means to be human. She looked around the room. I am not here to teach you how to fight like humans. I am here to teach you how to survive like humans. And the first lesson is this. She smiled, a real smile, warm, human. Survival is not about being the strongest. It is about being the one who refuses to stop. She clapped her hands. Now who wants to learn? For a moment, nobody moved. Then slowly, one by one, hands rose throughout the room. Claws, tentacles, wings, fins, all of them raised. Nodded. Good, let us begin. The lesson had been learned, and humanity had taken its place among the stars.